All right, let's talk about the veils really quickly here. I'm going to get in depth into the veils in our community as well. I'm going to do a workshop on it. I'm going to do a workshop on the veils. I was going to do a course, but it's not really necessary. A workshop is much more ideal, I think. And you have many veils here. And I can tell where people are based on how many of the veils that they've actually plugged into. I'll only get into a few of them. One of the veils that are here is a veil of politics. The veil of politics. That's one of the veils. So if you are under the illusion that politics is going to make your life better, and that it's going to do the things they say it does, then you're going to continue to be disappointed. And I can say politics because I'm sure most of you here have been very, excuse me, I'm drinking my tea, excuse me. Many of you have been disappointed by the results of of some of the politicians, or the system, I should say. It's not the politicians, it's the system. Because you voted for something, or you wanted something, or you supported something, that something came and it didn't do the changes that you expected it to do, or that they told you or promised you it would do. Right? So it's a veil. It's a veil to keep you looking at a system that's meant to make life better for you. Now, it isn't completely a sham, because if it was, it wouldn't exist. Let's face it, 100 years ago, life was not as good as it is today, is it? And our political system is partly responsible for it. Not completely, but partly responsible for making life better. Some good things were done in it. That's why it can exist. If it was completely rotten, we would just toss it out. But it does do some good. And that's why we keep it around. But it is a veil because it purports and has people believing that they can believe in a system without ever, and give all their power to it without having to do anything with this to create a better world. Because when it comes to creating a better world, we tend to look at politics for that. As a collective, we tend to look to our political systems to make things generally better. And they do in a very limited capacity, but never to the point where human growth, expansion, and evolution happens. Never. If anything, what it does is gives you enough to keep you having faith in it, but never enough for you to expand to the ultimate you that you're here to be. And if no system is doing that, it is not worth being around. Ever met someone who has always been taught, guided, and protected by God? Father? Just wondering. I'm the son of a Pentecostal minister. So I'll answer your question by just letting you know that. If you got a follow-up question after that, we can discuss. So the veil of politics has you putting your faith and energy in a system and a group of people that will never truly give you what it is that they're supposed to, that will never truly do what it's supposed to do. It does just enough to stick around and exist. And indeed, what happens to that engine and machine is it serves capitalism in our country and a corporate system. A corporate system is based on capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system, not a political system. But I'm showing you how an economic system has infiltrated. A bunch of people, beings have infiltrated a political system through an economic system to control and dominate it so that it benefits the very few and gives just breadcrumbs to the many and to the majority. When it is supposed to be a system that supports and takes care of everyone equally. When I say take care of everyone, I don't mean giving you everything you need and you don't have to do anything for yourself. That's not what I mean. It masquerades as a system that's for everyone, but it's actually for just a few. But many think that it is a system that serves the many. You simply need to open your eyes and see that it doesn't. It doesn't live up to its billing, it doesn't live up to its promises, and it doesn't live up to its original intent when it was created. So it's a veil because too many people see it for something that it is not. And it prevents you from looking further. And when you pay attention to it, it captures your mind and puts you in categories and pits you against each other. In our country, here in the United States, you have the Democrats and you have the Republicans. They're the two so-called political parties that govern the whole system. And you can nary find a person who's a Democrat and who's a Republican that can get along with each other. So it serves more as a system of separatism and hate. That should not have anything to do with a political party. So it's a veil, because what it tells you and what it purports and what it's supposed to do is completely different than what it actually does. And many people see this veil as a solution to any major problem that they have. So that's one of the biggest veils we have here. So in our community, we're going to really be getting into that veil and how to pierce it. And how to get all the things that that system promises from within yourself. Because once you unplug from it, you plug into the real. And then you find out how big of a farce that veil really is. And there are a number of veils. The second veil I want to talk about, I'm just going to talk about very popular ones. The media is also a veil. The news. There's the mass media. There is social media. And then other medias in between. And that serves to bring you information that is always pointing you to the veil of the world according to someone's agenda or perspective. The minute you say agenda and perspective, that's a veil. Because what you read and what you see is based on what someone else thinks you should hear. Or what you should know. And none of it is coming from your spirit, your ancestors, or your inner self. It's all coming from the outside. So you want to know what's going on? You turn on the evening news. I want to ask everybody here, do you feel any bit smarter when you turn on your television and watch the news? Do you feel any smarter when you go to social media and they have these gossip columns or videos or reels or shorts on what somebody did in the Olympic Village, or who was going up against who was saying this about that person and all of that? Like you do as soon as you pop your phone, that's what pops up, doesn't it? So the news doesn't educate you. Social media, unless you're very deliberate about where you go. The thing about social media is that it offers you a lot of options. That's the beauty in social media. With the news, you just get what a corporation says you get. And no matter where you go, you get the same thing, because only about 3 or 4 of them own the whole thing. And they're all in bed together. But with social media, you have individuals who choose certain topics, certain venues that they go down, and you can go, oh, I want to watch this guy. Like with me. Oh, Papa Guru's on at 10 o'clock. I want to watch him. I want to get in there with all the people that are in there. We're all together. Because I want to hear what he has to say. I want to hear what other people have to say in the chat. You don't have that ability with the news, right? But within all of that, there's all kinds of stuff. And if you're deliberate, you can get to the things that are going to uplift you and educate you. But you have to battle the mind, because entertainment is always something that draws. So it can be entertaining, but completely garbage to your mind. And now you're internalizing this entertainment, which has within it laced some little poison pills, showing the worst side of people. The worst side of people. And if you watch enough of that, you'll start to think that everyone's like that. You'll start to think everyone's that gossiper who gossips and spews hate, lies, distortions about other people. And you see, that stuff is poison to the mind, but it's entertaining. So the veil of social media is not as strong as the veil of corporate news, because you don't have a choice as to what they put out. They put out what they think you need to hear, and that's it. Social media puts out everything. You can get everything. But now you have to battle the mind in wanting to be entertained, the ego, because the ego wants gossip, entertainment, dirt. Right? And so you have to battle that to get into between that and the things that are going to enrich you and really take you to the next level. So social media is like a stepping stone, because the next media is going to be where you can concretely plug into something without having to have. So that the social media has been a pathway. You see how the divine works? It doesn't look like it's divine to our opinion, but the divine has a purpose. Because the original purpose of creating the internet, from which social media is a child, is so that they could monitor you. Like that. Oh, thank you, Energy, for bringing that one up. This is perfect time for this one.
It's all in the lyrics.
It's all in the lyrics. Look at stop watching the news. I don't think that's the name of the song.
It's called Spent the Day in Bed.
Spent the Day in Bed. By Morrissey, an English singer. See, a lot of times, and some of you have heard me say this before because you've been here before, a lot of the stuff that you get, you think it's from you might not listen to it carefully because you think it's non-spiritual. But listen to the lyrics of that song. I spent the day in bed, and it'll tell you exactly what the news is about with a little beat. Listen to that song. And then the other day, I brought up another rock and roll song. And I said, You would think it's not from a very spiritual source, but there's a song in the 80s that's talking about us being spiritual beings. We are spirits in a material world by the Police.
Oh, yeah.
So we're told that all the time, even by so-called non-spiritual, that they're not sages, those guys. But Sting, the lead singer, is a very aware and conscious being. Even his colleagues say that about him. So a lot of the stuff that we need to, is being brought up. And then you have other things. You have people like Bob Marley. But you see, Bob Marley never hid his spirituality. Everything he wrote was about. So people can identify with that. But there are many, like many of the reggae singers. Reggae comes from a deeply spiritual background. It was the Rasta's spiritual music, and that's what it was based on. Liberation, freeing the mind. Free your mind from mental slavery. None but you can do that. Listen to that one from Bob Marley. Right? Many of you have heard that one. That's a very big, that's one of the biggest songs ever written. Many of you have heard that one. So the singers and the comedians are actually, the comedians too, actually give very deep messages. The singers with their music and the comedians with their funny jokes. Those people are coming back. And when I mean those people is those singers. You see, Bob Marley would never get a contract today because he isn't putting down people calling women names and just outright putting out rotten information and product. Many of the ones from the past, people think, oh, the music is not like the... No, it isn't that. It is because we've allowed too many people who are unconscious to feed us their version of music. And they will shut out the next Bob Marley. They will shut out even the next Jimi Hendrix. They will shut out the next Police. Because songs like that are not being written today. It isn't because people don't write them. It is because those people are not being given contracts. But that's going to be taken care of. Those people are coming back. Right? Those people are coming back. Because now the next step after just general social media is going to be private communities like the ones that we're going to be a part of and the one that we're building. Where people want to avoid the censorship, the control, the silly rules on what makes you popular this month and unpopular the next month, and all this nonsense. That's where we're going to next. Well, you have a much more clearer choice without any other things being tossed in. So we can choose where we want to be and who we want to be with in a very clear and decisive fashion. Right? In a very clear and decisive fashion. So media, that's one veil. And you notice there's going to be a pattern you see with these veils. Right? And if you see the pattern, it's very simple. You'll see the pattern, then you'll know why they're veils. And the next veil, I'll talk about the last one. There are more than that. There are about 9 or 10, but I'll just leave it at 3. The third veil, let's see, which one should I cover? Yeah, I cover this one a lot. The veil of religion. And essentially, it's give your power, your energy, your money, your time to this system, and you'll be rewarded later when you die. And not all of them are exactly in that way, because there are some systems that say you are here to live a great life and to continue that great life after you drop the body. There are some systems that are like that, but most of them are about sacrifice, suffering, sacrifice and suffering to get to a better place. And that is one of the worst things that could have ever happened to humanity. It is one of the worst things that could have ever happened to humanity. Because this wonderful planet is here. And then there are people with the mental and with enslaved and controlled minds who don't appreciate her, who don't appreciate the planet and the abundance that she gives to us, and simply wish, and there's some, because some of these things are death cults, where they wish whatever being they're worshiping will come down one day and destroy it. The very thing that supports them and gives them life and gives them the abundance that they have and the opportunity to become a physical being, they wish the destruction of it through some of these systems. Right? And so we have that going on. Why? And because of some veil. You know, it's like Popeye's. Anybody remember Popeye and his what was this? Was it his Uncle Wimpy? That's how I equivalent these things. You have to bring them down from their so-called sacred places, these books and these belief systems. You have to bring them down to where they really belong. Because you ask a couple of questions and they fall out of the sacred spaces in the minds of humanity. It's like Wimpy. Wimpy, if you guys don't know the story of Popeye, I think he had an uncle named Wimpy. And Wimpy would go into Wimpy loved hamburgers. Wimpy loved hamburgers. And he would go into every burger joint in his day and he'd go, "Give me a burger today and I'll pay you back on Tuesday." And Wimpy would go to every place that would allow him to do that. And he'd have his burger and he would never pay. Because Tuesday is not promised. And who's going to make him come back on Tuesday to pay for what it is that he was given? That's what these belief systems are. Give me everything today and I'll reward you after you die. You have no idea. Only to find out that after you pass away and go back to being the real you spirit, that you were duped. Because they've got nothing for you. And for most of the time, they don't even give people anything. You're broken down, you have suffering, you're hurt, you're in pain, you're down and out. And then they send one of their people to you. The minister, the church member, the deacon, whatever system it is that you're tied into. And they bring you in and they go, "You need to give yourself over to this, that, the other, and we will take care of this for you. And your stuff that you came in there for, you've been resolved." And sometimes that's all you get. They give you nothing else. And they keep you there by telling you, "You stay with us and you'll never go back to where you came from, where we got you out of." And the fear of pain keeps you attached. And they don't give you anything else. Meanwhile, you're giving the gem yourself. Because you're the gem here on this planet. Your consciousness is the gem. And they've got that. And they're working and reaping all the energy. Your time, your effort, your money, your soul's energy, your mental energy, all of it. And you get nothing for it. Oh, thank you, Daghead. Thank you for making that correcting me on that. So Wimpy would say, as Daghead has just pointed out.
BMW said as well.
Yeah. Oh, what BMW said it as well?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you. I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. That's your religious systems, for the most part. Most of them. Not all of them do this. Most of them. At least that's the Abrahamic religions in a nutshell. That's what that is. And that's the most powerful of the veils. There are more, which in our community we'll cover. By the way, if you're also interested in spiritual coaching or mentoring, you can contact us by going to the profile, clicking the link. Just send us an email and we'll have a conversation towards that regard. We also do spiritual healing of all kinds. Mental healing, physical healing, the whole works. If you're looking for that. You can see there's a pattern with these three veils that I mentioned. For those of you who've been here, the pattern that you will continue to see this pattern is that every single one, politics, media, and religion, all take you away from yourself. They all do that. Politics, put your faith in our political system and we will create everything you need. Give us your taxes, give us your vote. Give us your sons and your daughters for war. So you see, you always give up more, right? When you put yourself out into these veils. Media, give us your attention and give us your time. And most importantly, give us your mind and we will entertain you and tell you what you need to know. Religion, give us your tithes, your offerings, your money, and your time, and your soul, and we will give you heaven when you die. Promises, promises, promises. Meanwhile, you give away the gold that is you and within you. For something that is, again, outside. Religion is someone else's spiritual experience. I choose a direct connection to the divine, with the divine. Exactly. Because you don't need anything else between you and the divine. And the only place you'll find the divine is within yourself. Because that's the only place it exists in. For you. For you. And anything that points you towards yourself, then you know that thing's legit. Right? So, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for liking and sharing. We are going to wrap it up.